My fiancé's family treated me like a charity case until they found out about my $2 million inheritance. Hey Reddit, so I'm Ethan, 32, a high school history teacher. My fiancée, Bethany, comes from money. Serious money. Her family has never been shy about letting me know I don't measure up. They constantly make little digs about my humble career and how Bethany is clearly marrying beneath her. It's been a constant source of tension, but I thought Bethany was different. I really did. Turns out I was wrong. Her dad's birthday party this weekend. It was supposed to be a pre-wedding celebration. Let's just say it turned into something else entirely, something that made me question everything. Should I just walk away from this whole mess? It started subtly. Bethany's aunt Patricia, the one with the diamond the size of my thumb, cornered me by the caviar fountain. Yes, a caviar fountain. So Ethan, she purred, still shaping young minds. The tone, the look, it was condescending, like teaching was some quaint hobby, not a real job. I brushed it off. I'm used to it. Then her mother chimed in later, while I was talking to Bethany's cousin about I kid you not horse breeding. Bethany tells me she's helping you pick out a suitable suit for the wedding. Such a sweet girl, taking you under her wing. Suitable, like I'm some unkempt stray she's adopting. My stomach started churning. But the real kicker came from Bethany herself. We were all gathered around, champagne flutes raised, for a toast to her father. He finished his speech about Bethany finding happiness, and then she took the mic. Smiling, she said, and I'm so lucky to have found that happiness with Ethan. He's a project, she giggled, and the crowd chuckled along with her. But I'm determined to make him presentable for our big day. Even the honeymoon, imagine him in Italy without my guidance. The room erupted in laughter. My face burned. It felt like all the air had been sucked out of my lungs. Presentable, project, charity case. Was that what she really thought of me, all this time? Had she just been tolerating me? My vision blurred. I felt a wave of nausea. I literally stumbled back a step, bumping into a waiter who spilled a tray of champagne glasses. The shattering glass seemed to echo the shattering of my heart. Bethany just stared at me, this blank, almost amused look on her face. No apology, no concern, just amusement. Her father patted her on the back and said something about her wit. Wit, I wanted to scream. Right then and there, something inside me snapped. I saw it all crystal clear. The condescending smiles, the backhanded compliments, the thinly veiled pity. They didn't see me as a person, I was a joke. A project. A burden Bethany was gracefully carrying, and I was done. I took a deep breath, my hands shaking. The room was silent now, everyone staring. The shattered glass seemed to glint malevolently under the chandeliers. I cleared my throat. Actually, I said, my voice trembling slightly, there's something you all should know. Bethany's eyebrows went up. Oh, she said, all sugary sweetness. What's that, darling? Darling, God, I hated that word now. I have $2 million. The words hung in the air. The silence was deafening. Then Bethany's mother, the queen of the condescending stare, spoke. 2 million? What stamps? A ripple of laughter went through the crowd. I felt my fists clench. Dollars, I said, my voice gaining strength. An inheritance from my grandfather, $2 million. So no, Bethany isn't helping me out of the goodness of her heart. I can afford my own damn suit, and my own damn trip to Italy. The laughter died down. Bethany's face went white, her mother's jaw dropped. 2 million, she muttered, her eyes narrowed. But, you live so, modestly, that old house, your car, modestly, it hit me then. They thought I was poor, they genuinely believed I was some struggling teacher they were graciously elevating to their level. The sheer arrogance of it all made my head spin. Yes, I said, my voice rising. I live modestly. Because I choose to, because I value things other than expensive cars and caviar fountains. I like my job, I'm proud of what I do, and I don't need your pity or your charity. Bethany's father stepped forward, his face a mask of disbelief. Ethan, are you being serious right now? This is a joke, right? You're telling me you've had this money all along and you've been pretending to be one of us. One of them. The phrase dripped with disdain. That's when I knew this wasn't normal family conflict. This was something toxic, something deeply, disturbingly wrong. My chest tightened. I could feel the blood rushing in my ears. Pretending, I repeated, my voice shaking with a mixture of anger and disbelief. I wasn't pretending to be anything. I was being myself, and apparently that wasn't good enough for you. Bethany started to cry. Crocodile tears. Ethan, please, she sobbed. Don't do this, it's Daddy's birthday. Her father put a comforting arm around her. Son, he said, his voice low and menacing, you're making a big mistake. Bethany loves you, we were just trying to help. Help, help, they were trying to help. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to scream. I wanted to punch something. Instead, I took another deep breath and said the words that changed everything. The wedding is off. The room exploded. Okay, Reddit, buckle up. Things have gone from bad to nuclear. A week later, and the fallout from the party is indescribable. I'm getting bombarded with calls and texts. Not from Bethany, oh no. From her entire extended family. Aunts, uncles, cousins I've never even met are blowing up my phone. They're leaving voicemails ranging from fake sympathetic, Ethan darling, we're so worried about you, Bethany is heartbroken, to outright threatening, you're going to regret this, young man, you have no idea what you've done. What did I do? I'm the one who was publicly humiliated, but that's not even the worst part. This morning, I woke up to find my car vandalized, keyed, spray painted with the words Gold Digger. Gold Digger, me. The guy who was too ashamed to even tell Bethany about the inheritance because I didn't want it to change things. I'm seriously considering getting a restraining order against this whole damn family. My parents are freaking out. Bethany's mother actually showed up at their house yesterday, sobbing and begging them to talk some sense into me. She apparently told them I was manipulative and using Bethany for her money. Using her for her money? Are you kidding me? My parents, bless their hearts, were completely bewildered. They've always known about the inheritance and they know me. They know I would never do something like that. Still, it's put a huge strain on them. They're caught in the middle of this ridiculous mess, and it's not fair to them. And then, the cherry on top of this shit Sunday. Bethany's cousin, the horse breeder, decided to get involved. He posted something on Facebook, a long, rambling post about how I led Bethany on and broke her heart for wait for it attention. He actually implied that I fabricated the entire inheritance story to get my 15 minutes of fame. 15 minutes of fame. I'm a high school history teacher. My idea of fame is getting through a lesson on the French Revolution without anyone falling asleep. The post has been shared and commented on by practically everyone in Bethany's social circle. They're all calling me a liar, a manipulator, a social climber. I'm getting death stares at the grocery store. My life is being turned upside down. I'm starting to realize this isn't just a family squabble anymore. This is a full-blown smear campaign. They're trying to destroy my reputation. My sanity, my life, I can't eat, I can't sleep. I'm constantly on edge waiting for the next attack. I'm starting to feel like I'm losing my mind. Liam, my lawyer friend, is advising me to document everything. Every phone call, every text, every social media post. He says we might have a case for defamation. Honestly, Reddit, I don't even care about the money anymore. I just want this to stop. I want my life back. I need to fight back. I'm not a gold digger, I'm not a liar, I'm just a guy who got caught in a nightmare, and I'm not going down without a fight. Wish me luck, I think I'm going to need it. So I finally broke down and told Liam everything. Liam's my best friend since college, a lawyer, thankfully. At first, I was hesitant. It all sounded so insane even to me, like who acts like this, but I couldn't keep it bottled up anymore. I needed anyone to tell me I wasn't crazy. They keyed my car, man, I told him, my voice shaking. Spray-painted Gold Digger on the side. Gold Digger, can you believe it? Liam just stared at me, his jaw slack. What? I spilled it all. The party, the inheritance reveal, the breakup, the harassment, the smear campaign on social media. The whole 9 yards. I even showed him the Facebook post from Bethany's cousin, the one where he called me a fame-hungry liar. As I talked, Liam's expression went from disbelief to shock to outright anger. Ethan, he said, his voice low, this is insane. They're acting like a goddamn mafia family. I know, right? I said, running a hand through my hair. I feel like I'm in some twisted reality show. This isn't a reality show, Ethan, Liam said, his voice hardening. This is harassment, defamation, this is serious. He started pacing, muttering about legal precedents and possible courses of action. Then he stopped, looked me dead in the eye, and said something that completely shifted my perspective. Ethan, he said, you did nothing wrong. You were honest with them, you stood up for yourself. They're the ones acting like entitled, spoiled brats. They're trying to punish you for having the audacity to what? Not be poor, to have your own money, to not need their help. His words hit me like a ton of bricks. I hadn't really thought about it that way. I'd been so focused on the accusations, the harassment, the sheer insanity of it all, that I hadn't stopped to consider the underlying motivation. They weren't just angry that I broke up with Bethany. They were angry that I dared to challenge their perception of me. They were angry that I wasn't the project they thought I was. They saw you as a charity case, Liam continued, his voice rising. A stepping stone for Bethany to show how generous and kind she is. And when you revealed you didn't need their charity, you shattered their illusion. You exposed their prejudice, and now they're lashing out. That's it. That was the missing piece. It wasn't about the money, not really. It was about control, about power. They wanted to control the narrative. They wanted to maintain their position of superiority. And I, by simply being myself, had threatened that. Suddenly, I felt a surge of not just anger but something stronger, empowerment. I wasn't the crazy one they were, and I wasn't going to let them win. Liam, I said, my voice firm, I'm going to fight back. I'm going to fight back with everything I've got. He grinned. That's my boy, he said, clapping me on the shoulder. Let's take these bastards down. And for the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, I could get through this. So I thought the keyed car and the gold digger graffiti was the lowest they could sink. I was wrong. It turns out, Bethany's mother hadn't just visited my parents to talk some sense into me. She had unleashed a full-blown guilt trip manipulation tsunami on them. My mom called me, her voice trembling. Ethan, honey, she started, and I already knew something was terribly wrong. Bethany's mother, she was here for hours. She said such awful things. My stomach dropped. What did she say, Mom? My mom hesitated. She said you were being cruel, that you were throwing away a good woman because of pride. She said you were hurting Bethany deeply, that you were tainting her family's name. Tainting their name, seriously? Mom, I said, trying to keep my voice calm, that's ridiculous. They're the ones who humiliated me. They're the ones who treated me like dirt until they found out about the inheritance. I know, honey, I know, my mom said, her voice cracking. But she wouldn't stop. She kept saying how disappointed they all were in you, how much they loved you, how they thought you were part of the family. Part of the family, the word stung. I had thought I was part of the family. Clearly, I was delusional. She even brought up your grandfather, my mom continued, her voice choked with sobs. She said he would be ashamed of how you're treating Bethany, ashamed of how you're throwing away your happiness for money. That's when something inside me snapped. My grandfather, they brought my grandfather into this. The man who taught me everything I knew about kindness, about integrity, about the importance of standing up for what's right. They dared to use his memory as a weapon against me. A wave of rage washed over me, so intense it made me physically sick. My hands started shaking. My chest ached. I felt like I was going to explode. Mom, I said, my voice low and dangerous, I need you to tell her to never contact you again. Tell her if she or anyone in that family comes near you or Dad again, I'm calling the police. Do you understand? My mom sniffled. But Ethan, no, Mom, I interrupted, my voice rising. No more, this has gone far enough. They are not going to manipulate you. They are not going to use you to get to me. It's over. I'm done. I slammed the phone down, my heart pounding in my chest. In that moment, something shifted inside me. The guilt, the self-doubt, the lingering hope that maybe, just maybe, things could go back to normal, it all vanished. It was replaced by a cold, hard resolve. I was no longer a victim. I was a warrior, and I was ready to fight. I called Liam. We're filing a lawsuit, I told him, my voice shaking with a mixture of anger and determination. I want them to pay for what they've done. I want them to regret ever messing with me. This wasn't about the money anymore. It was about principle. It was about justice. It was about taking back my life. And I wasn't going to stop until I got it back. All right, Reddit, you wanted an update. You're gonna get one. After that bullshit with my parents, I knew I couldn't just sit around and wait for Bethany's family to launch their next attack. I had to be proactive. I had to be ready. This wasn't just about winning, it was about survival. First, I went full ON documentation mode. Liam had told me to keep records of everything, and now I was taking it to the next level. Every single harassing phone call, every nasty text, every single social media post screenshotted, saved, and categorized. I even started recording the calls. Liam said it might not be admissible in court, but it was good to have just in case. I felt like a goddamn private investigator, and honestly, I was kind of into it. The receipts were piling up. It was almost satisfying, like building an arsenal. Next, I went off the grid, digitally speaking. I deactivated my Facebook, locked down my Instagram, changed my phone number. I knew they were monitoring my social media, trying to find any little thing to twist and use against me. Well, guess what? No more. They were going to have to work a lot harder to get to me now. Information lockdown, baby. But this wasn't just about gathering evidence. It was about preparing myself mentally and emotionally for the inevitable confrontation. I knew Bethany and her family wouldn't just go away quietly. They would come for me, guns blazing. And I had to be ready. I started seeing a therapist. I know, it sounds cliché, but it was actually incredibly helpful. Talking to someone who was completely objective, who wasn't caught up in the drama, helped me to process everything that had happened. It helped me to separate myself from the accusations and the lies. It helped me to see that I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't overreacting. I was justified in my anger. Therapy was a game changer. And finally, I enlisted my support system. I told my closest friends everything. At first, they were just as shocked and disbelieving as Liam had been. But then, they rallied around me. They offered their support, their encouragement, their unwavering belief in me. They reminded me of who I was, of the person I was before all this madness started. Having them in my corner, knowing I wasn't alone in this fight, made all the difference. My friends are my rock. So yeah, Reddit, I'm scared. Terrified, actually. I know this isn't going to be easy. I know Bethany's family is going to throw everything they've got at me. But I'm also strangely calm, because I'm prepared, I'm protected. And I'm not backing down. Bring it on, I'm ready. The setting sun cast long shadows across the near-empty school parking lot. My beat-up Civic looked pathetically small next to the gleaming black Mercedes that had just pulled up. Bethany emerged, looking like a runway model in distressed designer sunglasses, perfectly tousled hair, a single artfully placed tear rolling down her cheek. Her mother, Patricia, followed, radiating an aura of cold fury. This was it. "Ethan," Bethany began, her voice trembling. "We need to talk." "I think we've said all there is to say," I replied, keeping my voice level. I clutched the manila folder containing Liam's meticulously compiled evidence. My heart hammered against my ribs, but my hands were steady. "Please," she sobbed, clutching my arm. "I miss you so much. I made a mistake, a terrible mistake." "A mistake," I repeated, gently removing her hand. "You humiliated me in front of your entire family. You called me a project. A charity case. You laughed at me." Patricia stepped forward, her eyes narrowed. "Ethan, don't be dramatic," Bethany apologized. "Can't you just move on?" "Move on," I laughed, a short, sharp sound. "After you keyed my car, after you spray-painted Gold Digger on it, after your family launched a smear campaign against me on social media, after you harassed my parents," Bethany gasped. "They did what?" I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, you didn't know? Your mother paid my parents a little visit, told them I was tainting your family name, said my grandfather would be ashamed of me." Bethany's face paled. She turned to her mother, her voice shaking. "Mom, is this true?" Patricia's composure finally cracked. A flicker of panic crossed her face. I was just trying to what?" I interjected, my voice rising. "To manipulate them. To guilt-trip them into forcing me back into this toxic relationship." I opened the folder and pulled out a printout of the Facebook post from Bethany's cousin. "And this," I said, holding it up, "this is just the tip of the iceberg. I have everything documented. Every phone call, every text, every lie." Bethany stared at the printout, her eyes wide with horror. She turned back to her mother, her voice barely a whisper. "You did all this?" Patricia opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. For the first time she looked defeated. The power, the arrogance, the unshakable confidence, it was gone. "Bethany," I said, my voice softening slightly, "I loved you, I really did. But I can't be with someone who doesn't respect me, someone who sees me as a project, someone whose family thinks they can control my life." I closed the folder, the sound echoing in the stillness of the parking lot. "It's over," I said, my voice firm. "And this time I mean it." I turned and walked away, leaving Bethany and her mother standing there, speechless in the gathering dusk. The weight that had been crushing me for weeks finally lifted. I felt free. It wasn't just about the money. It was about self-respect. It was about taking back my life. And in that moment, I knew I had won. Not because of the inheritance, but because I finally stood up for myself. I finally found my voice, and it felt amazing. It's been 6 months since that parking lot showdown, and let me tell you, Reddit, life is different. Immediately after, the silence was deafening. No more harassing calls, no more cryptic texts, no more social media smear campaigns. It was like Bethany and her entire family had vanished off the face of the earth. Part of me was relieved, part of me was still bracing for the next attack. The anxiety lingered for a while, like a phantom limb. I kept expecting the other shoe to drop. But it never did. Liam thinks the meticulously documented evidence scared them off. He sent a strongly worded cease and desist letter outlining the potential legal ramifications of their actions, and apparently that did the trick. They folded like a cheap suit. Go figure. The irony is, they probably spent more on lawyers trying to figure out how to get around the legal issues than they would have just leaving me alone in the first place. So, the situation was ultimately resolved by them backing down. It's a mixed bag, to be honest. On the one hand, I'm free. I'm no longer living under a cloud of anxiety and fear. I can finally breathe again. On the other hand, there's no real sense of closure. No apology. No acknowledgement of the pain they caused. Just silence. It's like they just pretended the whole thing never happened. Which, knowing them, is probably exactly what they're doing. My parents are still a little shaken up. They're relieved the harassment has stopped, but the whole experience left them deeply disturbed. They still struggle to understand how people can be so cruel, so entitled. It's definitely strained their faith in humanity. My friends, though, they were amazing. They were my rock throughout the entire ordeal. They listened, they supported, they never doubted me for a second. They reminded me of my worth, of who I was before all this happened. I honestly don't know how I would have gotten through it without them. True friends are priceless. As for me, I've changed. I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago. I'm stronger, more assertive, less willing to tolerate bullshit. I've learned the importance of setting boundaries, of speaking up for myself, of prioritizing my own well-being. I've also learned that money doesn't buy class, and it certainly doesn't buy happiness. I'm still teaching, and I love it more than ever. I've actually channeled all my frustration and anger into something positive. Remember that inheritance? I used a portion of it to set up a scholarship fund for underprivileged students in my grandfather's name. It felt good to honor his memory, to use the money for something meaningful, something that aligned with my values. It was a small act of rebellion, a way of reclaiming my narrative. I'm still wary of relationships. The whole Bethany experience left me with some serious trust issues. I'm not sure when, or if, I'll be ready to date again. But I know one thing for sure: I will never again allow myself to be treated like a project. I deserve to be loved and respected for who I am, not for what I have. So, Reddit, that's my story. It's been a wild ride, to say the least. I'm still processing everything, still healing. But I'm getting there. One day at a time. Have any of you ever dealt with a similar situation? How did you handle it? I'd love to hear your thoughts.